My name is Björn Svensson. I am the Director of Studies at the Department of Informatics at Lund University School of Economics and Management. I teach programming and databases, systems development, systems integration, and this kind of thing. So when it comes to these kind of AI-based tools in higher education like Chat GPT, it's a tricky area to comment on because at the moment the development is happening so fast, and it's happening a lot faster than a lot of people thought, that anything that you say might be outdated at a later point. But what I think we can say is that the direction in which this is headed is that the technology is becoming more accessible and it's becoming more advanced at a very fast pace. So this is a genie that is not going back into the bottle. Pandora's box is not going to be closed. So we as institutions of higher education, we need to learn to deal with this and to live with it. But most of all, we need to learn to take advantage of it, which I think that we can. There is sort of a knee-jerk reaction that I've seen in media, in different media outlets, where institutions of higher education say that students will use this to cheat. And I think it can be true in some cases, but it's a very, very narrow interpretation, I think, of what is going on. So I think that we as teachers, as course directors, as program directors, as department heads, as deans, and all of this kind of thing, we need to have a conversation with our students about these tools. We need to show leadership. We need to teach our students to use the tools. We need to teach them how to write prompts. We need to teach them about AI hallucinations, the pitfalls, the limitations of the tools. And I think that if we do this, then we can have students who use it in a responsible way. And in fact, that has been my experience at the time of this recording. So it does not mean that examination is no longer important. And funny enough, it does not mean that we should now, since this tool, quote unquote, knows everything, that we can just shut down the universities and go home. I don't think that is the case. And I think there's an important reason as to why that is not the case. So the reason is that because using these tools requires knowledge. Using these tools requires skills. And it requires skills within the certain domain or subject that you're trying to use the tools for. So, for example, an incompetent programmer does not have much use of a tool like Chat GPT or Bing AI or something like that. But a competent programmer can have great use of this tool and can make him or her twice as productive, if not even more productive. So we still need to know things, we still need to learn things. And while we need to use the tools, that means that we also need examination that is without the tools in order to be able to use the tools. So we have a bit of a tricky situation going on here in higher education, but I think that we have to start with having a conversation with our students about this. And in the informatics department, we did this. I did this on my course in programming and systems integration. And I talked to my students. I said, look, we have this tool. It's a great tool. You should definitely try it. In fact, I'll have an assignment that makes you try it. And I presented ways. I showed them how to write prompts, what happens if you write them in different ways. And I presented it as a learning aid and productivity tool because it really is a learning aid as well. It is like having access to a teaching assistant 24/7 that can explain things to you, but it's a teaching assistant that you cannot always trust. So it requires some sort of critical judgment capability on the part of the student as well. And so when we did this and we showed it to them and how to make it act as an instructor and so on and so forth, and how to use it for productivity and generating different kinds of content. What I saw in this instance was very responsible use of AI tools, ChatGPT in this case, and GitHub Copilot. Students did not use it to try to cheat or something. Instead, they used it to try to learn. There was a difference. Some students used it more as a productivity tool, some students use it more as a learning tool. But all of it was very responsible use of ChatGPT and GitHub Copilot. And that's why I believe in having a conversation with the students and in the faculty, in the teachers leading that conversation. So in the area of systems development, using tools to achieve things is not new. And it's not a new phenomenon that students would submit things that would be a mix of their own content, you could say, and content that they got from elsewhere, from tools, from websites and so on. It's just that the tools that we used to use were not AI based. So now we have AI based, but I still maintain that they're tools, and we need to teach our students to use them. So what do we have to do, in my opinion? Well, the development is happening so fast, and things are coming out, new things are coming out all the time, that we need to continuously monitor this, and we need to reevaluate constantly our standing point when it comes to this. So it might affect examination in ways in the future that it does not do today. At the moment, some of these large language models that are being used, they struggle with academic writing. Maybe they will not struggle as much in the future, and so on and so forth. So we need to reevaluate. And I think our examination is still important, but certain parts of that examination we might have to rethink and use complementary means of examination. But we still have actually very good ways of examining students, and it's working very well at the moment. So the way I would sum this up is that it is a learning tool and it is a productivity tool. It is very good at both, and it's not something that we should be afraid of, but it's also not something that we should dismiss too casually. So we should learn to use it. We should teach our students to use it in an appropriate and critical manner, I would say, as in critical as to what it outputs, to not, because you can't always assume that it will output correct things. And if you use it in that way, I think it will be a great tool for both students and teachers alike in higher education.